Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I'm an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we're going to talk about the next new moon in Gemini on May 27, a moon that represents a prefiguration, an anticipation if you will, of the month of June, a month in which the square between Jupiter in Cancer and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction will take the scene. And on top of that, we will see how the chart of the new moon in Gemini will also activate Pluto in Aquarius through a minor grand trine. Now, with this new moon, we officially enter the last third of spring, marked by the ingress of the sun into Gemini, a mutable air sign that will gradually lead us towards summer solstice, the moment in which, according to anthroposophy, Archangel Raphael passes the baton to Archangel Uriel. So let's take a look at the chart of the new moon in Gemini, starting as always with the latest changes in the sky. Now, on May 20th, the sun entered Gemini. Here it is. And on May 25, Saturn officially enters Aries. Now, this is a very important event because it actually activates the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that you can see here. So I leave you the link to the dedicated video in the description box if you want to learn more about this very, very important conjunction. Then the following day, on May 26, we have Mercury also entering Gemini. This is Mercury in Gemini. And in fact, in the chart, we find it in conjunction with the sun and the moon. Now, this moon accompanies us towards Ascension on May 29 and above all towards Pentecost, which is the festival of freedom and the spirit, which this year falls on June 8. And in this regard, we will see how the chart basically points us in the direction of the constellation of the Holy Spirit, which is the starry image of Taurus that you can see here. Now, this is a new moon, meaning that it represents the beginning of the manifestation process of the etheric forces of the Earth, which gradually increase with the waxing moon up to the full moon. And in this sense, the new moon is a cosmic seed, so it is a good time to sow and to start new things. And the manifestation process will reach its culmination with the next full moon in Sagittarius on June 11. And by the way, this moon is ruled by Jupiter, which will have entered Cancer by then. So it is going to be a very, very interesting full moon. So back to the chart, Sun and Moon are here. They are located at 6 degrees and 5 minutes Gemini in the starry image of Taurus. And this means that the moon is, of course, ruled by Mercury, which is the lord of Gemini, which in the chart is in conjunction with the luminaries here, right? So metaphorically, we say that Mercury is in his chariot, meaning that he is not combust, he is not damaged by the solar furnace because Mercury is in his domicile and he is basically ruling the sun. Mercury in turn is also in conjunction with Uranus and in close trine with Pluto in Aquarius. So this is very interesting because we have a lot of planets in air signs, and this means that the chart has a predominance of the air element, but on top of that, we also have an activation of Pluto in Aquarius by trine. So in particular, this trine is a so-called minor grand trine, since Saturn and Neptune, as you can see, they are closing the trine by 2 sextiles, right? So on top of that, we have this quite disconnected trine between Mars in Leo and Venus in Aries, which gives a nice touch to the chart. So let's talk about the meanings of the chart. As you know, I always start from the physical meanings. And in this regard, we have basically 2 main significations here. On the one hand, we have media, newspapers, and news, all Gemini significations. But on the other, we also have the international market issues being Mercury the god of merchants, especially when Mercury is in Gemini. So as for the news here, we are talking about investigative journalism that carries out real investigations capable of leading the public opinion to revelation of some kind or shocking news, if you want. And this is indicated by the conjunction between Mercury and Uranus, which is all about sudden and unexpected news, and by the trine of Mercury with Pluto, because Pluto represents, in this case, the public opinion that is definitely disturbed by such revelations, and also it is triggered, right? Because we have this activation by trine of Pluto in Aquarius, which, as we know, represents revolutions, riots, and also protest movements that are going to be awakened by those news, as well as facilitated by the Gemini ability to create a network fast. So this also concerns the market front, especially because we have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction involved by these two sextiles. And in this sense, we go in the direction described by the ingress of the ingress of Jupiter into Cancer expected for June 9. So if you want to learn more about this effect, you can watch my video about Jupiter in Cancer. You can find the link down below in the description. So it is definitely going to be triggered because, as you can see, Jupiter is about to enter Cancer here, and it is already making this square, this out of sign square with both Saturn and Neptune. Now, from the point of view of the soul, the forces of Gemini lead us towards the maximum exhalation of the so-called anima mundi, the soul of the world. So this means that our soul is attracted towards the world of the senses, pushed outside towards the dizzying heights of the sun, which gradually goes higher and higher towards the solstice, calling us towards the light. And this leads us to increase our social interactions, to create bonds, connections, and so on. Also, to go out and protest, of course. But in general, this force leads us towards this lightness of the heart, freedom, good humor, and the discovery of everything that is new and stimulating. Now, the trine of Mars and Venus here in the chart also speaks of the awakening of our passions, also in terms of our relationships, of course. So we just need not to, not push it too much, because not to overdo it, because of the trine of the Syzygy with Pluto that can go out of control, so to speak. So from a spiritual standpoint, the new moon is found in the stereo image of Taurus, which in astrosophy is precisely the constellation of the Holy Spirit. And of course, this image is rightfully going to accompany us towards Pentecost, which is the festival of the baptism by fire, in which the Spirit descends on the Virgin and the disciples in the form of tongues of fire. Now, this means that these revelations, this news that we have spoken about, are to be understood according to the evangelical saying, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free," which is precisely the founding principle of the Holy Spirit, that is, to setting free the human being. We are also led by this force to overcome the blood ties dictated by the family, by the people of which we are a part of, by the nation, so as not to feel divided and limited by these specific sense of belonging, but on the contrary, to feel united and part of the whole of humanity. And obviously this without distorting our origins, but on the contrary, this impulse that requires us a full recognition of the spiritual origin of every human being. So with Ascension, we have the healing of the 4 elements by the redeeming forces of the Christ, basically concluding, right? Because remember that according to Hildegard of Bingen, it occurs during the 40 days after resurrection. We have basically 10 days dedicated to each one of the 4 elements. And the last 10 days from Ascension to Pentecost are instead dedicated to the impulse of the spiritual awakening of us, human beings. Thus, these 50 days are concluded. We have 5 times 10, which can be summarized overall in the image of the pentagram, which, in addition to being the image of the microcosm of the human being, because we are basically a 5-pointed star, right? It is also the image of the 3rd logos, or the Holy Spirit. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to support my work, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.